For a couple of years now, we've heard over and over that America is systemically racist and it's an evil nation, blah, blah, blah. We've been told that we're a country whose laws, policies, and institutions, that they were all invented to oppress specifically people of color. Now, this rhetoric, it was once a fringe view that was held by groups like Antifa, or the admitted Marxists that created BLM. But now it forms the very platform of the Democrat Party. So it's not a surprise that our very Constitution and our Bill of Rights now comes with, get this, harmful language warning from the National Archives Records Administration. Yes, they put that label on the Constitution. It needs to come with a harmful language warning, according to NRA, or NARA rather. That group, that agency, is responsible for preserving and protecting documentation of American heritage. Noted that so-called harmful historical documents, quote, it could, quote, reflect racist, sexist, ableist, misogynistic, misogyny noir, and xenophobic opinions and attitudes, be discriminatory towards or exclude diverse views on sexuality, gender, religion, and more. And, they're not done, include graphic content of historical events such as violent death, medical procedures, crime, wars, terrorist attacks, natural disasters, and more, end quote. If you were unsure as to whether or not you're living through a cultural revolution, add this to the stack of evidence. It's eerily similar to the memory holing that the Maoists did in China. From 1966 to 1976, the Chinese Cultural Revolution was a socio-political movement that sought to reimpose Maoist thought and excise impure elements and ideologies from the political and social order. Sounds familiar. During the French Revolution, similar tactics were used, like pulling down statues, renaming streets, even restarting the calendar at year one. The point being, in cultural revolutions, everything pre-revolution must be discredited, must be torn down and memory holed. And when you've gotten to the point where you're putting signs over the Constitution, warning labels, telling people that it contains harmful language, you have to wonder how far down the revolutionary rabbit hole we've already gone. And of course, it's a change that's being instituted under the Biden administration, who talks incessantly of whiteness and white supremacy being some sort of existential threat to the United States. Now, oddly, it's reported that the NARA harmful language warning doesn't appear on a page about Jim Crow, which has no fewer than 6 uses of a racial slur, the N-word, nor does it appear on a page with the K-word that's used as a slur towards Jewish people. Makes you wonder why that would be so. Maybe because they wouldn't want to discourage people from reading something that might help form a negative opinion about America, perhaps? In any case, this isn't the first time the National Archives has catered to a leftist view of history. The National Archives Racism Task Force pushed to include trigger warnings around displays of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, all of which are in the rotunda. Now, along with committing to diversity and equity, the NARA said it would, quote, in conjunction with diverse communities, seek to balance the preservation of this history with sensitivity to how these materials are presented to and perceived by users, end quote. That's that new American value again, diversity. Increasingly, diversity of everything but thought. It takes precedence over our actual founding values, liberty and equality. Diversity demands not actual diversity, but Marxist presentation of diversity says we have to apologize for our history and take ownership of things that people did even when you weren't here because your family hadn't even immigrated yet. Why? Because some group or person might be offended by America's founding documents. It's so incredibly Orwellian, but the revolution is complete when the language is perfect. These were the kinds of things that you thought were confined only to progressive college campuses, but it's now happening in our very own National Archives Records Administration, whose job is to preserve our history, not apologize for it. So now when you read about harmful notions like all men created equal, it will come with a trigger warning.